And when you found out, nigga, you knew the whole time? Cap, what the
First off, fuck your bitch. Just kidding, but Team Cap for life. Dun, 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 dun. And here's why. Everybody likes Tony Stark. I get that. Robert Downey Jr., amazing actor. Tony Stark, a pretty amazing character. However, when it comes to the MCU and the Civil War conflict, everybody's like, Team Tony and blah, blah, blah. I think people just like to hop on a lot of bandwagons without having an actual thought as to why. Tony Stark is absolutely in the wrong in the MCU. He's also very wrong in the comics because he wanted to do the whole Mutant Registration Act, and unless you're, a fucking racist, the Mutant Registration Act was definitely a no-go. So in all cases, pretty much Tony Stark is he's done. Anyway, point is, in the movie, Steve Rogers didn't know he knew the entire time of the movie, but he did not know the entire time. I feel like people think that that Captain America knew that Bucky killed his parents just knew. He was just like, oh yeah, I knew that. It's like, no, there's a very specific moment in which he knew, but also let's break that down. The moment Captain America found out that Bucky was the one that killed Howard Stark, which, by the way, no one seems to really talk about the fact that they were friends. All three of them. Friends. They're friends. From World War II. They were all friends, right? Okay, so in Captain America Winter Soldier, right, when Arnim Zola is explaining how Hydra infiltrated everything and how they created the Winter Soldier and how he's been pop, 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 taking out hits on everybody, one picture pops up, it's Howard Stark. And Cap's watching this whole thing. He's like, oh, so my biggest, the thing that I sacrificed my life to destroy not only survived, but also turned my best friend into a cold-hearted, brainwashed assassin who they then sent to kill one of my closest friends who helped me destroy the organization that's still alive. That nobody talks about that. Now, yes, you might be thinking, well, now Tony's your best friend. Not really. They haven't gotten along since the first time they met. At all. Watch the first Avengers. And up until this point, they haven't, you know what I mean? People are like, oh, well, Tony's right about, the Accords. Now, that one, you can argue up, down, or with the wall. I don't care. But you can't argue with me, and here's why. Nick Fury, in the first Avengers, what does he do? He defies a direct order from the council who says, nuke New York City. The founder of the Avengers was like, yeah, seeing as though that's a stupid decision, I've elected to ignore it. He elected to ignore the higher-ups because he thought that was stupid. He knew that the Avengers could save the world, right? And what did Tony do? Did Tony say, this is what the government wants, so I'm gonna let the nuke fly and kill a bunch of civilians? No, he took the nuke up and boom, saved the day, right? Okay, cool, awesome. Let's keep that same energy with the Accords, right? The reason why Captain America, in my opinion, is correct on not signing the Accords is because he says something very specific. What if they don't send us somewhere where we need to be, like the Battle of New York, or they send us somewhere where we don't want to be? Essentially, it's either, what if, they don't send us in a situation and they nuke innocent civilians, or what if they use us as the nuke on innocent civilians? See, either way, it doesn't really work. My point is this. A lot of you can't have hard conversations with your family members, and yet you're going to ask Captain America to have a conversation with the son of one of his closest friends about how his best friend, who he doesn't know, killed his dad and his mom. And it's like, hey, look, I don't know how to tell you this, but okay, so I had a best friend back in the day. He is now the Winter Soldier, and had we both been alive, we probably actually would have gone not only to your dad's wedding, we probably would have been invited. Probably would have been best man. This in this what if universe. We probably would have been there at your baby shower. We probably would have been giving you gifts and checking up on you regularly. Like, we would have been your uncles, right? Okay. One of your hypothetical what-if scenario timeline uncles killed your mom and dad because he was brainwashed. And I want you to know that it's not his fault and that we could probably save him. Tony doesn't have... He's not emotionally, like, intelligent enough to have that conversation. When has he ever? And no, don't hit me with some bullshit about how he blew up all his suits for Pepper, because that was the stupidest decision you could ever make in your fucking life. And no, having PTSD and a vulnerable moment in a movie that was ass, Iron Man 3, doesn't count either. Doesn't count. I'm not saying Captain America couldn't have handled the situation better. I'm not saying there wasn't a better way for people to come to the table. I'm just saying the way that the events unfolded doesn't really paint, in my opinion, Tony Stark in a great light. I think Cap did the best that he could with the knowledge that he knew in all the shit that was happening in the world at the same time. I don't think there's ever really a good moment to, like, bring up the fact that your best friend killed one of your closest friends, and then telling the child of the close friend that that's what happened. Like, there's no good time. When would there be a good time for that? Over the phone? They don't really get dinner ever, or at least not in any of the contexts that we understand how they've lived their personal lives. Also, we know how Tony works in his personal life. People call him with important shit, and he leaves them on red because he likes to be a cocky smart mouth. So it's like hard to have a conversation with someone like that when you want to get real, because then shit gets real and then he throws a tantrum. So it's like, I get it. Steve was right.